I can't tell you how great it is to be here with all of you. iMedia class of 2012, parents, families, and friends. When I first started looking for a job in television news, I was about your age. I'd already worked at a newspaper. Remember those? And I had landed an entry-level position at the CBS affiliate in Chicago. I was a tenacious reporter, ambitious to a fault, trying to break into what then was considered new media, television. I was determined to get noticed, and mostly by the executives in charge of allocating airtime. I, of course, wanted my stories to be on the air all the time. Airtime was a scarce resource. Today, because of digital, you aren't likely to have to worry about airtime like I did. You still have to make something people want to watch or experience, but you don't need the consent of a television executive to make yourself heard. You produce audiovisual media, as I did, but you are also developing the look and feel of the player, building the web page, spreading the word through sharing and clicking. You're targeting an audience. You all have the tools to build your very own ecosystem, digitally. Now, all you have to do is come up with an awesome idea and stick to it. And by awesome, I mean talking about things that are genuine, original, authentic, and driven by your passion. Awesome. I know it sounds a little awkward, right? Coming from a relic of the age of newspapers and network TV, but really it's the perfect word for what we all should be trying to do. There's actually a whole web-based movement dedicated to the pursuit of awesomeness, and I think many of you may know about it. To boil it all down, the way I see it, it's that uncompromisable deal that we strive for and sometimes even achieve. And when it happens, when you do something awesome, you probably know that exhilarating, heart-pumping feeling. There's nothing else like it. I'm lucky. It's happened to me a bunch of times in my 30 years at CBS News. Most recently, I was overseeing a 60 Minutes investigation into scammers who were promising cures for people with incurable diseases, like multiple sclerosis and ALS. We used hidden cameras to catch the unscrupulous doctors, snake oil salesmen really, in the act of preying on these sick and dying people. Our stories put the culprits out of business and into prison. We also hopefully saved many families from wasting their money and their precious reserves of hope. In my world, that's awesome. No other way to say it. We helped administer a little bit of justice, and it gave us this feeling that we'd made the world a little better place. My medium is broadcasting, but whatever platform you use, it's imperative to create quality content that is truthful and accurate and reflects this whole notion of awesomeness. I promise that's the last time I will use that expression. Just to bring in some backup for what I'm saying, in 1996, the late Steve Jobs said this in an interview about his new animation studio, Pixar. We don't view ourselves as a technology company. Our product is content. We're an entertainment company, and all this technology really is just in the service of storytelling, the service of creative people. You are those creative people. You're the storytellers. You're polydisciplined, you know web development, maybe you code, you use Flash, you find stories, you produce, shoot, write, edit digital video, you find markets. Forget traditional advertising. You access Twitter's API. And you can make something go viral by convincing people to share it. More and more people like you are remaking the future of media, harnessing the technology in a way I never could have dreamt of when I was your age. You're the first generation to grow up with these new digital tools and technologies. You are digital natives. I know enough about you to know that calling you a digital native is a compliment of the highest order. It should be, because it means you have a tremendous competitive advantage. You have intuitive skills, and now after getting this degree, you have a broad understanding of the interactive media landscape and how to work in it. I've been reading some of your bios on the iMedia website. I was impressed with your diversity and experiences, your skills and your ambitions, and I'm excited for all of you. But when you first arrived here, I bet quite a few of you were like Ryan Stewart, undecided about the right career path, like Lindsay Taylor, who saw Elon as the perfect place to pivot and change directions, like Caitlin Mullins, who saw the tectonic new media changes going on and came here to get involved, like Louis Tufalaro, a self-possessed digital creative, who, like all of you, have skills that are increasingly in demand. The point is, you all grasp in your own ways that this is a constantly changing and fascinating space to be in. It is frankly hard to keep up with the changes. A lot of people have been talking about sharing, about the phenomenon of Twitter, for instance. Your classmate, Carrie Brown, who told me about how to accept a job at Groupon. She had given me a sense of what it was like being part of the iMedia culture, about going to South by Southwest, rhapsodizing with web developers about HTML5 tagging. Sounds like fun, actually. Sounds awesome. Sorry about that. But this really is your time. Talented, bright young people with great imagination. People like you are taking advantage of this brave new world, and yes, we're seeing the birth of digital enterprises making billionaires and tycoons of 27-year-olds in hoodies. Groupon CEO Andrew Mason was on 60 Minutes earlier this year, and he put it this way: the success was intoxicating, and it was just this rocket ship ride that you couldn't let go, but you didn't want to let go either. Hold on tight, Carrie. It is a rocket ship ride. For those of you like Joshua Jenkins, Elizabeth Maddox, and Daniel Krowick who are interested in the arts, you are seeing firsthand how digital has influenced media arts, film, production, photography, design. Others like Nolan Ehlenberg, Ty Gwinnett, Alan Spears know that in the world of interactive sports media, building a community and following your favorites on multimedia platforms has never been more exciting. As you all know, all the sharing and digital community building also poses some huge problems. Just look at United Airlines, which found itself under a Twitter attack after a viral video on how baggage handlers broke someone's guitar. It's the kind of environment that will keep graduates such as Allison Harshberger and Stephanie Olson super busy and fields like public relations and strategic communications and crisis management. I saw that Chris Kirkham shared in his bio after graduating college in 2009 how he had struggled to find a job in journalism. Well, guess what? Struggling is part of the game. Everyone here has faced challenges and setbacks, and I'm pretty sure you will face more of them. I'll tell you though, I've learned more from my mistakes than my perceived successes, and I have had some catastrophic mistakes. Indeed. Bless you. One of the most cringeworthy mistakes I made was in 1998. I produced an interview with Kathleen Willey. She was the woman who accused President Clinton of groping her in the Oval Office. Needless to say, it was a high-profile interview, right when Monica Lewinsky affair was going on. Here was Kathleen Willey, a respectable woman, coming forward to discuss her unwanted sexual encounter with the President of the United States. 39 million people watched that interview on 60 Minutes. I was elated that night. The next day, however, the White House responded by releasing fawning letters Willey had written to the President after the alleged encounter. I thought I had vetted Kathleen Willey completely, but obviously I hadn't. She and our story were discredited. In an instant, I went from the top of the mountain right into the toilet. But if you don't get fired, you pick yourself up, you move on, you get over it. I was a stickler for detail before that, but since that misstep, I have been extra vigilant and extra careful and an extra good listener. That last point may be the most important. I can't tell you how crucial it would be for your success to be a good listener. Most people are simply waiting for their turn to speak. But the real moments, the revealing moments, the breakthroughs, they come when you listen and not necessarily follow the script. In 2005, I convinced Bob Dylan to sit down for a rare interview. He hadn't given a TV interview in 20 years. Dylan was one of my all-time heroes. Please tell me you think as highly of him as I do. No. Anyway, imagine the scene. After landing this once-in-a-lifetime interview, the cameras are rolling, and Dylan is giving us nothing. I mean monosyllabic answers, nothing. I was about to panic. All right, I was in total panic. Dylan was barely coherent, but the correspondent, the late, great Ed Bradley, stuck with the interview. He listened and persevered. At one point, Ed asked Dylan, "Do you ever look at music that you've written and look back at it and say, 'Oh, that surprised me'?" Dylan just shrugged it off, like he'd been doing the entire interview, saying he didn't know how he wrote the songs. But Ed pushed and asked with a hint of incredulity, "What do you mean you don't know how?" That nudge, after 19 minutes of totally unusable material, finally opened the great mystery man up. He began to wax poetic, as only Dylan can. I'll read just a little of what he told Ed, and I'll try not to gush like a young teenager at a Taylor Swift concert. I'll try. Here is what Dylan said, and I will give it my best Dylan intonation. Well, those early songs were like almost magically written. Darkness at the break of noon, shadows, even the silver spoon, a handmade blade, a child's balloon. Well, try to sit down and write something like that. There's a magic to that, and it's not a Siegfried and Roy kind of magic, you know? It's a different kind of penetrating magic, and you know, I did it. I did it at one time. What's the lesson here? Stick with it. Listen, push when necessary, and adapt. And so, Lindsay Houston, stay with your passion for writing, for finding the human perspective. Casey Lett, new media organizations are forming every day, and old media organizations are growing their digital footprint. In just the past 5 years, new ways of experiencing content have multiplied exponentially. iPhones, iPads, Kindles, Androids, new formats and platforms reverberating around the globe. I'd like to ask Catherine Dexel, Brittany Eisen, Kate Keeler, Andrew Mauney, Elizabeth Schreier, and Jessica Torres-Riley to put your hand up to your ear. Do you hear that sound? It's the sound of 10 million doors opening to all of you going into digital design, web development, user experience, and so on. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and you're not going to have to work hard for your success. And you're going to have to be patient. We're living in a world where setting yourself apart, establishing your brand, marketing and advertising has never been more complex. Matthew Duncan, Brandy Stearns, Nolan Ather, Jess Gerber, Cassie Gooding, Karen Grunwald, Ann McNulty, Kelsey Trabu, you have your work cut out for you. But this world of identity, design, packaging, graphics, digital strategy, and social media is going to keep you interested, busy, and I'm betting gainfully employed. So where does all this change leave CBS? Where does that leave us at 60 Minutes? The good news is that we've got a great brand. We've set ourselves apart from the rest of the pack. We've done that by lining up and living up to the highest standards of journalism, by delivering original reporting day in and day out, by telling high-quality stories, being fair, getting it right, bringing light to subjects and issues in a way that consistently draw the interest of millions of viewers. It's actually a sacred brand. We take it very seriously. We're careful, especially in this age of change, to guard it. And we're going to need the dedication of a new generation of skillful, knowledgeable journalists to help us. At 60 Minutes, we are embracing change, even as we're being good stewards of our traditions. We are expanding our brand into new realms, like 60 Minutes online show called 60minutesovertime.com, which we've been able to monetize with a multi-million-dollar sponsorship deal with the Pfizer pharmaceutical company. And there is our iPad app. Not to toot our own horn, but I guess I will. 60 Minutes, a show that is 43 years old, has created the #1 selling app for news by making it simple and making it easy. But don't get me wrong, we can do better. We must do better. So to all of those who I noticed showing an interest in digital filmmaking, broadcast and production, graduates like Anthony Arathata, Mika Hayes, Charity Holloway, John West, Todd Jabond, and Shawanda P. Jones, come and join us and try to experiment. Thank you, Shawanda and family. Keep in mind the values and the simplicity of what makes content great and sustainable over the long haul. And just in case you're thinking that 60 Minutes is, well, an old person show, here's another sign of the times. This year, our show will actually grow the number of young viewers. That is due probably in part to doing stories that young people want to see, but also because of social media efforts. Overall, CBS, really, the network, is changing the way it is bundled, packaged, distributed, shared, and experienced. We know that shows will be watched on the best digital screen available to viewers, whether on the big screen from their couch, lying on the porch with their iPad, or on the go with a smartphone. Seeing the future in front of us, we have no choice but to build an ecosystem for our viewers that is agnostic to format, accessible on any platform, from any place. Of course, right now, broadcasting is what continues to butter our bread. TV continues to bring the lion's share of the money to CBS's bottom line. Our 60 Minutes Sunday PM broadcast slot makes several orders of magnitude more money than what comes from the tens of millions who watch and read us on the iPad and the internet. There simply isn't the same kind of money in new media yet. That said, the network is constantly looking for ways to engage people, whether in the news division or on the entertainment side, trying to give our audiences every opportunity to share more about what we're doing with their friends and their social networks. CBS Entertainment is making lucrative streaming video deals with Hulu and Netflix, and we're hosting live chats with the stars of our programs. We understand the value of self-promotion and creating buzz, and we're out there trying new things, just like you. Last but not least, my hope for the future is that in all this clamor for new models and more money, that public service component of what we do is not lost. That it is still what drives a show like 60 Minutes, and I was heartened to see that graduates like Kelly Yoder, Katie Williamson, Rachel Johnson, Emily Kamishki, Jordan Moore have some hopes of channeling their knowledge of digital technology towards nonprofit and public service goals. So here's some parting advice for what it's worth. If you are determined to break new ground and go it alone in the footsteps of Jobs and Zuckerberg, do it with the confidence you've earned here. And some venture capital wouldn't hurt either. If you're approaching an established corporation that is still transitioning to the digital world, go in there and pitch them an idea that they didn't know they needed until you walked through the door. At CBS, that's how young people like yourselves are getting jobs today. You've got all the ideas, you've got all the talent. Companies need you like never before. You understand coding and understand interaction graphics and a whole lot more. You are the digital natives. You are the Elon iMedia graduates of the class of 2012. Congratulations. I salute you. Thank you and good luck.